Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, joined today by my co host, Allison Leach Hyde, and welcome to the Transporter Room. We're absolutely thrilled to introduce the extraordinary Dave Blass. Dave is a highly acclaimed production designer known for his incredible work on shows like Star Trek Picard, The Boys, and Justified. He's a true visionary, shaping the visual worlds of some of the most iconic productions in television film. His keen eye for detail and ability to bring stories to life through design have made him a sought-after talent in the industry. We're especially excited to dive into his creative process, his experiences bringing complex narratives to the screen, and what goes into designing the unforgettable environments we've seen on our favorite shows. His seamless blend of artistry and technical expertise have made him a cherished icon in both the design and entertainment communities. Now let's beam in Dave. Hey Dave, how you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. I know everybody's got a busy schedule right now, and so I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Oh, okay, excited to be here. Just getting done with some murders. Can't tell you. Yes, it's my life is more complicated than most people's. I go from designing starships to dealing with true crime and murders, and yeah, that's and superheroes, and yeah,
Okay.
It's a lot of drama to deal with.
a
So that's
lot of
super
drama.
exciting.
People, it's like I'm one of those people that you really don't want to look at my Google search of things because it just has so much weird stuff. I mean, I remember getting retweeted by the Church of Satan because my spells that I used in Constantine were accurate satanic spells, and I'm like, well, I have that going for me. I mean, if I'm going to do satanic spells, I might as well do them right.
Oh,
Exactly. Gotta put your research in.
Yeah.
that's too
That's
funny.
so fun.
Oh my god. Oh man. Well, even though I'm a we're Star Trek podcast. Before we really get into that, we always like to dive into your background and like what you did before Star Trek, and could you share when it was you realized this was your career path for you doing your production design?
I had that really annoying story where I was 7 years old and I watched Star Trek and said, geez, I want to go do that. And everyone's like, okay, well, that's not a realistic goal. I'm like, well, no, of course it's not realistic. It's fantasy, it's spaceships, more of a sci-fi goal. And I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts, and you just didn't go to Hollywood and work on Star Trek. So it was not. But to be honest, it wasn't until I saw Star Wars that the idea of that as a career came in, because on Star Trek, the show was already on, and in my formative years, it was just on reruns. So you saw the show, but it was just that it was a show. But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until Star Wars came out and they started having the making of specials, and it's like here's how they make the starships do it, and you're like, wait. People do that? You can do that for a living? There's actually like groups of people who go to work every day and that's what they get to do. I want to do that. So that was the overall goal, and it's at the time I was too ignorant to realize that only a handful of less than a handful of people had ever done what I was attempting to do: go to Hollywood and be the production designer of Star Trek. So luckily, I was too naive at the time to give up on the goal, and I just said, "Hey, let's do it." And then cut to just a few years later, there I am designing a starship on Star Trek. So it worked out. I mean, when people say, you know, don't dream, don't go for you. I'm like, just go for it. It'll work out. And that's really been my career path. It's there's a lot of zigzagging in life, and you go from doing, I mean, I did crappy reality TV shows. I did The Biggest Loser. I did Beauty and the Geek. So it's like I've done this and then that and then that and then you end up in doing Star Trek. But again, you just have to stay true to yourself and stay true to your goals and always keep your eye on the future.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And on to that, since you have been from reality TV to westerns to full on sci-fi and of course superheroes. But what's it like I am from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I know you've worked here in Santa Fe. What is it like using a, 'cause now I'm getting a little bit nitty gritty because that's what I want to know about.
Mhm.
Is what is it like taking a place? Santa Fe, New Mexico is a small city. We're not a big city, but you're filming here and you have to use it to represent other cities. I know you didn't just film in Santa Fe, you also filmed in Las Vegas, but I'm watching and I'm recognizing streets. I'm like, that's not Denver, that's downtown Santa Fe. And downtown Santa Fe has a height restriction of like 3 floors. So,
Oh yeah.
how do you take the real world that you're in and build the fantasy world and have it represent something else?
And that's it's a great question because that's so often what we do. And whether it's you're doing that for Star Trek and you're trying to shoot something for, oh, we're supposed to be in the future, but we're wandering around. We have Los Angeles. What do we shoot? Same thing for shooting Longmire, which takes place in Wyoming.
Mhm.
We're in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So it's a matter of studying what the place in the world looks like that you're trying to replicate, and then finding the things that work and the things that don't work. And it's pretty common, and it's actually more common in Hollywood to not shoot where you're trying to do. For years, I did a TV show called Justified, which takes place in the hollers of Kentucky. We shot that in Los Angeles. I did a show called Cold Case, which takes place in Philadelphia, also shot in Los Angeles. And one of the fun things there is in Philadelphia, they don't have red painted curbs, like where you'd pull up
Mhm.
and you can't park there because it's painted red. So everywhere we would go shooting Cold Case, we had these things called curb condoms, which were basically just little things that were stuck over the red part of the curb to cover
Mhm.
that really quickly and easily. They were little flexible pieces. So it's just fine doing the research, and the same thing with Star Trek when we shot specifically season two. We had to shoot a lot of stuff for the future, the year 2400 in Star Trek, and it's like, okay, what buildings look futuristic? What things can we shot, and then also what buildings that look futuristic haven't been shot for all these other shows, and then what buildings have we seen in Star Trek. So we had a whole list of buildings that had been seen in other Star Trek shows. So we kind of knew, okay, that's a Star Trek building. This is a Star Trek building. For Justified, we were like, okay, these are the types of buildings that we want to do and we want to avoid things to avoid, and then the same thing. It's like in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, you have a lot of coyote fences.
Oh yeah.
And that is
Mhm.
specifically something to New Mexico that's not. So whenever we would go and shoot an area, we would have to cover up the coyote fencing and the different the latias and the different architectural things that were specific to as
Very
much.
specific to New Mexico.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and then it's just one of those things you just have to go through and how much does it matter that there's this one thing that's not accurate, and you just do the best you can, but inevitably now more so there's the blogs and the online posts, and as soon as you get it wrong, there's 22 people pointing it out and going, oh, did you see the thing in the background that's this, and it's like, okay, well, it's just the way it is. But you do the best you can, and within your budget constraints. And luckily I'm in Atlanta right now, and I just finished doing a show that takes place in South Carolina, so it
Mhm.
was much easier to replicate, and also present day. So
Mhm.
that was good for
Yeah.
me. But you get into things like westerns and stuff, and it's always challenging. Westerns are always interesting because if you watch like an old west, it always has that really old patina to all the wood and everything. Where the reality of the situation would be that most of those buildings and those places are brand new because the old west wasn't an extended period of time. It wasn't for decades and you're sitting there going, like, you look at Tombstone, Arizona, and Wyatt Earp and everything. That town was brand new when the Earps landed. So all the wood and all the paint and everything would be brand new and very vibrant. But if you show that, the audience won't really accept it because they're like, no, 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 that was like so old ago, and it doesn't make sense. But
Mhm.
it's actually accurate.
Yeah, we have that with if we do like ancient Greece, they painted everything, but if we don't show it as white columns everywhere, they're like, that's not right. That's
Mm-hmm.
period
Yep.
inaccurate. Like, no, it's not. They painted everything.
That's right.
So
Yep.
no, that's so much fun. It's got to be a blast to be a scout, a set scout, or
Hmm.
shooting scout, just to go in and go, well, I think, the caldera outside of Los Alamos is perfect for Longmire's cabin to be in, and then go and shoot there because I mean it's a beautiful area.
It's an amazing, and Longmire was one of those really amazing shows where we would take the time to really embrace the scenery, and we would, because
Mm-hmm.
from Santa Fe to the Caldera, it's a good, I forget, like hour and a half drive at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, especially if you're taking a lot of stuff with you. Yeah, it
Yeah.
yeah.
can be
So
about an hour or so.
yeah, it was, but for film production in the middle of the day to just go out there to shoot something, that was, it's a bit of a hike to do that type of thing. So, and the same thing for the going to, when we say shooting in Las Vegas, not Las Vegas, Nevada, and Las Vegas,
Yeah,
New Mexico, which is a completely different creature. So,
it is.
Okay.
It is a tiny town. I thought it was a great representation of Wyoming.
yeah,
I'm from North Dakota, so this is all very
Mm.
similar or very familiar terrain for me. So I'm like, I can see how that one could work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so cool.
I have a kind of a follow up to. Well, actually, I have two. A follow up to hers and another question in a second. Why do y'all decide to, if it's taking place in Wyoming, why do you decide to film in places like New Mexico and Santa Fe? Budget or
tax credits.
Yep.
So, there, you got to ask. So it's like the movie the Brutalist that was just out up for Academy Awards takes place in Pennsylvania. They shot it in Budapest. You look at all these other shows. It's like, why would you go shoot here? Why would you go shoot there? It's like, well, nowadays, especially right now, it's tax incentives and things of that nature. When you're talking about something like back in the day, Cold Case, well, that's because it was a TV show, and TV shows were shot at that time in Los Angeles. That's where
mm-hmm.
you did it. Uh, Now it's really run and gun wherever you want to do it, and less less about where it should take place and where it might take place.
Okay.
I remember years ago meeting with the team that was doing the Motley Crue movie for Netflix, and
Yeah.
I had just come back from New Orleans. I was doing Preacher there, and they were like, and I was a big fan of the Motley Crue, knew the thing, knew all the locations, and this. And I'm like, it's such a love story to the Sunset Strip, and this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, we're shooting in New Orleans. I'm like, but why? And they did, and it's just like, and unfortunately they did a TV series called The Continental, a John Wick TV series, and it was cheaper to go shoot in Budapest and rebuild New York than it was to shoot in New York.
Wow.
So that's the world we're shooting in. There's a viral clip going on right now where Rob Lowe is talking about how they fly contestants for his game show over to Ireland because it's cheaper to fly 100 contestants every week over to Ireland than it is to shoot it in Hollywood. So Hollywood's having some challenges.
Wow. That is that the fact that it's cheaper to fly international than record at a studio in LA or Burbank is wow.
Yep. Well, you look at what was it, the Netflix show Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
the Addams Family show takes
Yeah.
place in Vermont. Where do they shoot it? Romania.
Yep.
It's a thing. So, but it's even worse now because they have the new Avengers TV series, the new not series, the new films coming out, the two big
Mm-hmm.
Avengers films, and the last dozen Marvel shows were all shot in Atlanta, and Marvel is now pulled out of Atlanta and they're moving everything to the UK. So cheaper, and again, you're sitting there going, but you built the studios, you have the sound stages, you have everything in set. Just why would, and it's cheaper to do it in the UK.
That really, I'm sorry, that boggles my mind, but
Well, yeah, that's why other than Picard, all the other Star Treks are all done in Toronto.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Well,
Yep.
okay. Well, that's actually good. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there.
We had a filming boom when our governor 15, 20 years ago really put through on having those tax incentives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
to bring
yeah. So I
film.
did. I shot in we did the first season of Preacher in Albuquerque, and then I did Longmire in Santa Fe.
All right.
Yeah, In Plain Sight was done in Albuquerque too. Like a
Oh
bunch
yeah,
of them were just
Breaking
because
Bad,
it
of
was,
course.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
Breaking Bad was actually initially took place in Palmdale, California. That's where it was supposed to take place, and then they got the tax breaks from New Mexico, and they said, "Okay, we're going to New Mexico," and they rewrote the story. So I mean, that took place. In the story they changed it to work for New Mexico, but
Mm-hmm.
initially it was California. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
there it is.
There it is. So when I was doing my research, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's actually a Star Trek connection within. It's a small one, but to Harry's Law, that series Harry's Law,
Hmm.
because you did the art director for the season premiere of episode 1 of season 2, and John Billingsley was in an 8th episode that season.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, that was a very good friend of mine, Charlie Lagola, that I've worked with over the years. He designed that show. He was actually designing Justified, and he wanted to go do Harry's Law. So he left Justified, gave it to me, and then I took over that show. And then he went to go do Harry's Law, and to thank him for that. Thank him for leaving and giving me a job. I went in and helped him out getting Harry's Law up and going.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was amazing. One day I'm sitting there working away, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and she says, "Hey, do you mind if I sit down? I'm really tired." I go, "Sure, Kathy Bates," and she just plops down in my office, and she's like, "Ooh," and then she starts talking. I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and just so incredibly sweet. But like, it wasn't on my playlist for that day to have Kathy walk into the office. And that's another wonderful story because that show, Harry's Law, was written for a man. And when then she wanted to do the role, and they didn't even change, and that's why it's Harry's Law. I believe it was Harrietta or whatever, but they didn't even change they didn't change it because and that was what was great about her, is that she didn't need them to do anything. She went and played the role as the role, and it didn't need to be rewritten. Because she had so much gravitas, and it was probably something that doesn't get talked about enough. That you can do something like that and have someone walk in and just play it as a woman and as a strong character.
Oh yeah, and I've watched some of her. I haven't watched all of it, but now she's Matlock.
Yes,
yeah.
She got to do it again.
She's got to do it again, and it's a great series.
She's an incredible. She's a very, and it doesn't work when you say it this way, but she's an incredibly underrated talent, and I think it's one of those things that people really need to look at the quality of work that this woman has done over her career, and how she has really bumped against a lot of things when she did that, and she, it's like going back years. It's like the strong women role. It's like, no, she just creates it walking into the room. She brings that with her, and it's like, you're just not going to mess with a woman. And but yeah, she is just a phenomenal. But literally, it's like having your aunt walk into your room. I'm like, oh my god, that's Kathy Bates.
Well, that's got to happen a bunch in your line of work, where just suddenly this person who you have admired for so long is just suddenly in front of you as an actual person, not as like the archetype that you have in your mind. Other than Kathy Bates, do you have another?
Oh yeah, tons of times. First time, as we're in the Star Trek world, I'm on in the observation lounge fixing some video playback, I'm on the phone talking to the guys who are programming it. I'm looking at the screen. I'm in there by myself, and I'm looking at the screen, and I turn around, and it's Ro Laren, and I'm like, and it's not even just because and I always tell people, I said there's a difference between meeting Michael Dorn and meeting Worf.
Yes.
It's like when Ro Laren walks in, and when Michelle Forbes walks into the room in full outfit, I was like, It's because you just don't. I hadn't seen her and never met her to the thing, but she walks in full outfit, and fortunately I had a chance to meet Michael Dorn prior to shooting, but then to walk on the set and have him in his full outfit as Worf is a completely different situation. But yeah, I mean, I early in my career, I did a movie with Malcolm McDowell, and we were
Oh,
in the basement boiler room of this abandoned insane asylum. And I was putting, he was like, this was right after the movie Seven, and I was putting the finishing touches on his lair, his mad scientist, kind of the serial killer lair type of thing. And it literally was in the basement boiler room of this place. So wasn't a high traffic area. So I'm just down there doing my thing, and I turn around, and he's like, "Oh, this is great! Oh, now I get it!" And he's like, starts, and I'm like, and he's just like, "Oh, looking around, this is so great! I can totally see who I am now. This is so helpful. This is," and he's like, "What's your no, David? Yeah, thank you so much, David. This is great." And I'm like, of course, Malcolm McDowell, but yeah, he just, and it was Malcolm McDowell and Robert Patrick, so that was a fun little movie. But yeah, inevitably you have all those moments over the years and things, but and especially with Star Trek, because it was one of those things where um, every episode had someone special. As you turn the corner and there's Moriarty, it's guest actors like that, and Tim Russ, and it's like, so it was like, oh, okay, cool. But it was just, so many of these times when you first meet someone or you first bump into them, and then but it's special.
okay. I had a request to ask you some about the show The Boys.
Yes. So yeah, The Boys. I had just finished doing 2 seasons of a show called Preacher,
Hmm.
which was produced and we had directed by many episodes directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. So I did the first 2 seasons of that, and then they were going to go do this new series called The Boys, and they asked me if I wanted to jump from Preacher to go do that, and I said sure. So then that was up in Toronto. So we had just did, they had one more season in New Orleans that they were doing for Preacher, and then they were going to Australia, and they weren't going to be taking Americans to Australia. So it's like, okay, I'll bail and go do The Voice. So that was going up and do that, which was fun ish, because the show at the time, no one had ever heard of The Boys, no one had heard of Homelander or any of this stuff, so it was completely new, and which wasn't great for the first season, because we're trying to do billboards and it's like the whole idea was that the superheroes and everyone are integrated into society like Marvel superheroes today, but if they were real, they'd be doing Coke ads and things like that.
Hmm.
And not one advertiser would allow us to do an ad with them, because they're like, we've never heard of this. What is this? And we're like, they're like the superheroes, but they're kind of jerks. And people are like, yeah, no, Seth Rogen, this could go so wrong, and we don't want to be involved in this. And and that was like right around the Sausage Party, where it's like, and Seth's humor can go both ways. So, but it was like, but the bigger thing was no one had heard of the show, and they didn't want to take a risk on it. So I think we got like a local beer company, like a microbrew company, and finally at the last minute we got Red Bull or something like. But we couldn't get anyone, so it's really, we wanted to do all these Calvin, put the deep in Calvin Klein ads or something like that. But that was really challenging to do. And then of course the show comes out, becomes hugely popular, and then everyone in there wants to be involved, and everyone wants their stuff on that show. So
Hmm.
as it always works out.
Well, my Mr. Producer has said it was one of the best made shows in his opinion, and to thank you and the team.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, that was good fun.
I also saw, and I think I'm jumping on someone else's question here, but oh well. I saw that you did photography as well.
I do, because I travel a lot, and you spend every 6 months you're in a new Airbnb, and you can't bring a lot of your toys and your stuff. So it's photography has become one of my kind of traveling companions, and I'm focusing a lot. I do a lot of street. It kind of really depends on what city I'm in. New Orleans was a big street photography area. Done a lot of travel stuff, but lately I've been focusing on live music photography. So
Okay.
anyone who's on Instagram can check out my stuff there.
I'll definitely will have to get some pictures from you.
Yeah.
Any cool bands recently that you have gotten to see and take some pictures of?
Last what 2 weeks ago was Metallica,
Oh,
and so I've done like some private concerts with Roger Daltrey from the
Mhm.
Who, uh,
Cool.
that's
Johnny
cool.
Depp, Alice Cooper, a lot of different folks like that. So a lot of hair band stuff because they're fun to shoot. Bands like Kiss and stuff like
Yes,
that.
that
Slash.
is cool. They are so much fun.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
especially if you're doing photography. It's like if someone's standing there just playing country music, and I love country music,
Mhm.
uh, that's fun, but it's not as dynamic to shoot as
Oh
rock.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Def Leppard puts on one hell of a show.
Yep.
So getting to shoot bands like that would be so
Yeah,
much fun.
I've shot Def Leppard. Yeah, so a lot of big fun bands, the big hair band festival, Journey, and yeah,
Love Journey too. I got to see them together actually. They were
yep,
co-headlining a couple years ago and they came through Albuquerque because no one comes to Santa Fe. We're too small.
they do.
Oh, well, definitely. We'll have to get you to send us some of your pictures, or I'll find them online so we can put them in here and let people see your artwork. Because that's what we found out about David Livingston. I didn't realize he was a big photographer as well. So
Mm.
that's awesome. Um, all right, so now we're gonna finally get into what brought us really all together: Star Trek. And I just want. How did you find out that you'd been picked to work in Picard, and how did that feel?
Well, they don't pay. I mean, it's a long and involved interview process. I had initially met with them to do season 3 of Discovery, coming off of the boys, and I did not get that. And then so I was on the radar of things, and then I went and I was just finishing up working on Ghost Rider for Marvel that didn't end up happening,
Hmm.
but we were shooting at the same stages as Star Trek Picard season 1. So we had some stages and they needed some favors, so I let them use our stages, and so I'll put on their radar. And then Terry Metalis, um, was a former Emerson alumni, and I was also an Emerson alumni. So that really helped out because in the interview we knew a lot of the same people, a lot of the same professors and such. So that really we had that connection. And again, it was that thing of bringing the passion to it. Is that I'm like, yeah, and it was, I don't want to say an easy pitch, but it's that thing of going, guys, you don't want the nerds on your back. It's like it's like you want to be focusing on the script and the story and the things. You don't want to have to worry about what the star date and whether that matches up or the registration number on the ship. If it's like this. You want someone who's it's going to handle all that, and make sure it's correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you don't need someone who's going to spend the next 6 months trying to research it. I already know it, so it's like we can and which was good and bad because then I end up being the jerk in the room who stands up and go, okay, well, if Rios is in orbit above Vulcan, he can't be back at Earth in 45 minutes and like, as your story. And then they're like, Dave, you need to shut up now. Yeah,
Don't bring reality into our sci-fi, you know.
exactly.
So, well, this is kind of like in between. So, what is it like going from like a western to a sci-fi, like in your mind, like doing that leap? Because they are very different aesthetically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an easy leap, or is that just something you do every day? So it's nothing.
It's more. It's not a hard leap for me. It's a hard leap for the producers to
Mhm.
see that you can do this, and it's that thing. So in that instance, luckily, I was just coming off the boys, which had a lot more gloss, and if you look at the main conference room of the boys, it does have a very spaceship aesthetic to it, so you can see how you could translate it. And it's more the term of the high concept.
Mhm.
I don't think I would have if I hadn't done The Boys, I wouldn't have got Star Trek. They
Okay.
would have gone with someone who um, but it was in a different thing. It's easy to sit there and say, "Oh, you did Justified, which is a modern day western." I
Mhm.
can see that then you would be good to do Longmire, which is a modern day western,
Yeah.
which then you would be good to do Preacher, which is a modern day western. So you
Yeah.
go bum 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 bum, and then you can do that, and then from there. I had worked with, as I said, with Seth Rogen and
Mhm.
Evan Goldberg, and they're like, "Well, we like working with you. You can do The Boys because you're good." So
Yes.
Hmm.
that helped there. So
I noticed Liz, she did Godless, right? Or no, yeah, was it Godless, or it was another western that shot
Oh,
here in
Liz,
Santa Fe.
American
American. I
Primeval.
mean, yeah,
American Primeval, which is fabulous.
yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that both of you had been on such recent
Hmm.
westerns and then moved over to Star Trek. That's really cool. How did you guys end up working together?
Yep.
I actually, she, they did American Primeval after Star Trek, so she went from there. And in fact, a whole bunch of the Picard team went to go do that, and I was going up to Toronto because I had hoped to move over to Section 31 or Starfleet Academy, and
Mhm.
kind of they wanted people to be in Toronto at that time, so I moved to go do that while they went to go do the Western. But again, it's really they look at your body of work, and it's a lot of the design aspects of what we do. If you get the same person doing westerns, then they don't want the westerns to look the same,
Mhm.
and it's that thing. There's that catch-22. It's like, if you're the western guy, well, how do we make our movie? How do they make American Primeval not look like Horizon or something? So
Hmm.
uh, and vice versa. It's but interestingly, Horizon, the Kevin Costner movie, was shot by the same cinematographer who did Longmire. So it's like you see certain things that you like and certain things that so you pick up different things, and
Mhm.
you know, um, so another cinematographer probably worked on Longmire that one did Tulsa King. So you can do
Mhm.
a variety of different things, but but then now there's the problem, which is then you get on, you start doing these big huge shows, and then you get up into and meeting it for a smaller, more nuanced show, and they're like, "Oh, we can't work with this guy. He's too expensive. He's going to do all
Mhm.
these big huge things and blow up." I'm like, "I can do it smaller too," and then they're like,
I can
"Yeah,
do
no,
it. It's quiet.
you're very expensive. You do big things. It's like, this isn't the Starship Enterprise. We can't spend $1 billion on
Yeah.
it." Well, yeah, I didn't have $1 billion to do the Starship Enterprise
No,
either.
you
So
did not. I interviewed Liz and we talked about, her role on Enterprise and everything, and I asked her, kind of how she got it, and she said basically staying in your ear the whole time till y'all go.
yeah,
That, and that, which still shocks me, is that people quit Star Trek to go to other series.
yeah,
And
yeah. No, we had two people quit right in the time when Liz came on board, and that really opened the thing. And you sit there and go, yeah. And there were people, and one of the guys, a very talented guy, and he's like, so I'm leaving. I'm like, why? And he goes, well, you haven't told me how when my last day was here. I'm like, well, I brought you on because we needed someone new.
Mhm.
We needed more help, and we still need more help. I don't know how long we'll need more help. He goes, well, this is a long-term gig, and I'm like, okay, you could have come to me first, and whatever. And it's like, so, but that, luckily that worked out great for Liz, and then she stepped up, and another person, similar type of thing. So we had multiple people leave, and then Liz kind of, I gave her an opportunity. And I tell people, they're like, well, why did you pick her? I'm like, well, because she was sitting there and she'd be binge watching, Deep Space Nine, and
yep.
her first set was this. And again, how do you know that someone can do the job? It's like, well, her first set was a stupid bar in downtown LA, which really has no relevance to Star Trek. But she did all this research to put like the recall Chen, graffiti on the thing, because she's like, oh, I'm tracking all this through all these different episodes of this, and
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, you got it. And then when she came on, and I gave her her first thing was the Helios.
Hmm.
She started doing that, and I'm like, okay, taking the ball and running with it. And then when you do, and we had other people who weren't, you'd be like, okay, I'm pulling trigger. For all of season 2, I had asked to find, what we call the space crater, the materials that were on the ceiling, on the floor, and it's just this square paneling with little holes in it that they used in Next Generation for ceiling panels or wall panels or just lighting through. And I've been asking for it, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you can't find it anymore. This one prop house used to rent it, but they don't have it." I go, "Right, but they didn't make it. Where did they get it? What is it?" And no one would find it. And then she came in and she found it in like 3 hours. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
Yes.
"Oh yeah," and she's like, "Yeah, it's they're freezer pallets. They just put it for stacking meat
Yeah.
and stuff in freezers. You put it in there, and this." I'm like, "Okay, well, how expensive are they?" And she's like, "I don't know. They're like $30 a piece." I go, "Buy them all."
You need them.
We bought, several pallets full, and ended up using them on everything. But that was the thing. It's like you got to think outside the box and come up with different things, because there's a mentality in Hollywood right now where everything has got to be 3D printed and this and that. And really, if you look at especially the old Star Trek, it was all take something and reconfigure it as something else, paint it silver, and it looks cool, and then change it into something else in the next episode. So. That is that type of mentality that you have to have in looking at a space or an object and say, how can I make this into Star Trek?
Yeah. So did you, of all the sets that you worked on Enterprise, or sorry, Picard and all this, did you have a favorite one? Or are they all like your own children?
Yeah. No, I always tell people, they're going to say, oh, is it the bridge of the thing? I go, no. I say, for me, my favorite set was the transporter room. And people say, why? That's kind of, I'm like, because when you walked in there, it looked like a transporter room. And when the cast walked in there, we had this whole discussion with the the construction team and safety people, because if you look at it, there's like the steps going up to the pad, and there's like a half step and the thing off to the side, and they're like, yeah, this is a trip hazard. You can't do this. I go, this is the way the transporters are. This is what they look like. This is what they are. And they were all, and they're like, well, Patrick's going to trip, and this is going to be a thing. So we did it, and when the crew went up there, there was no dialogue, there was no explanation needed. Everyone walked to where they would go to. Everyone, the guy working the controls knew how to work the controls. Everything looked like the way it should look, but it was an upgraded thing. But everyone fully understood the design and all the nuance of it, and there was no discussion needed. And it's like, there wasn't like, oh, look at this amazing transporter room. It's like, no, it looks like an elevator. It's like it's a transporter room. It should look like a transporter room. And for me, that was really my design theory, is let's make Star Trek look like Star Trek. And and granted, the famous, I miss the carpet line was
that was a good line,
which is hilarious. Well, see, it's hilarious on multiple levels, because the key thing is we shot season 2 and season 3 back to back. So we had already recorded that I miss the carpet line before any Starship stuff had been seen at all. So the season 2, oh my God, the bridge is too shiny. We missed the carpet and everything. We all missed the carpet, but that was a choice that was made to show people that you can go back to the initial aesthetic. But there really wasn't a world in which I was putting carpet on the bridge of the new Starship, because it just, it isn't the 1990s anymore, and that design aesthetic has sadly gone away. So it's been, the Marvel and Discovery aesthetic has taken over for that.
Well, speaking of that beautiful bridge set, when Fan Nights came out, did you guys get help with that, or did they like reach out to you like, hey, how do we build this? Was it the same set?
When what?
Fan Nights at Universal came out this year.
Yeah, we. Yeah, that's an excellent question. I don't have anything to say on that.
Okay, cool. Never mind.
They didn't reach out to us. They used the set. They used the set that we had. They remodeled it to a certain extent, and then I'm just glad that fans were allowed to see a version of our set.
That is, as a fan who does not live there, I wish I could have made it out, because I would love to have been able to walk onto as close to that bridge set as possible.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, for fans who I think I would liken it to the Vegas experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So fans who didn't get a chance to do the Vegas experience, this is similar, and I believe having seen the success of it, that they will probably move it to Universal and down in Florida and give it another whirl and keep it going because fans did seem to love it.
Oh
Cool.
yeah, everybody that I saw online was just head over heels about it. I mean, I agree with Allison. I would have loved to have been able to fly out to LA and go out there, but it just it's not in wasn't in the bills this time for me.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, the Vegas experience, I think a lot of people forget this, is that was going away because Michael Jackson was going to be in residence at the hotel, and that was the reason that they're like, okay, Star Trek cool, Michael Jackson cooler. We're going to get Michael Jackson for an extended run, and how awesome is that going to be?
Yeah.
And then they pulled the plug on Star Trek, set up for Michael, and then Michael passed away, sadly.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that close like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's it'd be nice if they move out to Universal. We'll see. Maybe I'll make it out to Florida. We'll know.
Well, I think that they're starting to realize, and again, this is something that is important, is that and I think Ticonderoga, as I'm heading up there this weekend, has shown is that if you build it, people will come, and that there is a paradigm shift in entertainment right now to experiences versus the theaters and movie theaters. People don't want to go and see something made in a movie. They want to experience something and the tactile feeling of something. That's why live music is so important and expensive because people now realize that back in the day, artists would put out an album and then they would go to tour in support of the album. But really, it was the album sales that made them the money. Now people just put out an album so that they can motivate a tour because they're making $200 on a ticket for a tour. A lot of times, the artists even give the album away if you buy a ticket. So making the $15 you're going to make on an album is nothing compared to the $200 you're going to make on a concert ticket.
Correct.
And then, of course, merch.
Merch.
Yes.
Yep.
All the merch you can sell. Yeah. Okay. Unification. That was phenomenal. How did that come together?
That was a great collaboration with the folks at the Roddenberry Archives and Otoy, and I had been working with the Otoy people that I had known them for years, and they asked me to join the Roddenberry Archives when we were doing Picard. So I helped out with things, and they did their Apple Vision Pro setup of all the bridges where you can put on the headset and go on a tour of all the things. So they had, and then as we were finishing up with Picard, they started showing me the stuff that they were doing, and they came up with this short film where they basically went to Viridian 3 and rescued the saucer section of the Enterprise, and how they were kind of going through and tying all these little bits and pieces together. And then Jules from Otoy called me and said, "Hey, we'd love your help with this film that we're doing. It's called Unification," and and it was a continuation. And I think the other films really get lost, and it's kind of, you have to go see them all put together to really experience the journey. And it's really about putting together all of these little bits and pieces of Star Trek past and telling the stories of these characters that have been missed and skipped over. So Unification was it was a test of this technology that Otoy was developing to do this digital makeup. And it's a really fascinating thing because when this was not something that was done in post-production, it was done in real time. So when we're on the set, you're looking at the monitor, you're looking at Captain Kirk, and Sam Witwer did this amazing portrayal. And what I tell people about that film, and people are like, "Oh, it's just like an AI deepfake." I'm like, No, because if you watch most AI, it doesn't look right because
Mhm.
the performer of the AI doesn't understand the new. They understand what Captain Kirk looks like, or what they under Princess Leia looks like, but they don't understand the nuance of the movement and what
Mhm.
makes someone. It's like it's someone wearing a mask or someone playing a thing, and that's what there's something uncanny about it that you're looking at it going, okay, yeah, it looks like her, but there's something weird about it. And what Sam discovered was it was the mannerisms and the facial tics and the way that
Mhm.
Shatner would do perform something and what his face would do. And Sam would study it, and then he would look into the monitor and as if he was looking in a mirror, and he would realize that he had to do this, move his face and do this with it. He goes squinch his face, and if he did that, it would the digital makeup would do what he needed to do. So it wasn't about him making the movement with his face to match what Shatner was doing. He would have to do something different to get the digital makeup to do exactly what he wanted. So he studied it and really worked with the mannerisms and the performance of it. So which is why it really works well. I mean, there's one shot where he's young Kirk and he turns around, then he turns back around, and it's that classic, Shatner spin around. And Sam just nails that moment and the look and so again, it was a combination of that, and but just getting to do that and to work with Robin Curtis. This is a whole
Mhm.
scene that was shot that didn't end up in the show, where
Mm.
it was a flash to Spock and Saavik getting married, and it was great because I didn't officiate the wedding, but I was the resident Star Trek nerd on set when they were doing it. So I'm like, okay, well, this you have to do this with your fingers, and then you get and and I was showing them all these videos of the Vulcan weddings and
Mhm.
how this is done and the courtships and the things, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of officiating the wedding. But it was just doing that. But again, you're looking at the monitor, and there is Spock and Saavik getting married.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to
I,
see that happen and to be
I
there.
definitely squealed. I
I,
was very excited when Robin Curtis came on the
mhm.
screen for that. I'm
Yeah,
like, I love her. Yes, more
yeah.
Robin. So I enjoyed that a lot.
I think the one thing that gets talked about and not talked about enough is the fact that there was no dialogue.
Mhm.
Sam could have done we did tests with Sam doing the dialogue. It worked perfectly. In fact, you can see some stuff online where he does do that. It was the thing of going. We wanted to play it through the facial thing because we wanted people because as soon as you start doing dialogue, people are listening and doing it. But if there is no dialogue, you're looking at the face,
Mhm.
and the whole thing is we're like, no, we're not going to try and hide the face. We want you to look at the face. Look at the
Mhm.
face. Look how good this looks. And
Well,
that was the thing is that we just really sunk into that and made that work. And then Michael Cimino's his music is just
yes.
phenomenal. It's just perfect.
Well, as someone who works in technology, like I can't even fathom how the system was able to make all of those changes in real time. I mean
Yeah.
that's
It's an amazing technology that fortunately or unfortunately is going to change our world because in a very short amount of time you will be able to sit there and do this podcast as Captain Kirk, and people, yeah, and you will not be able to tell that you are not Captain Kirk, and
God.
it will be that thing where it will be a filter on Zoom where you scan yourself in your business suit looking best, and then that becomes your avatar that is then
Mhm.
done forever. So you're going to be sitting there in your boxer shorts for doing your Zoom call for in a conference meeting, and no one's going to be able to tell the difference. Or even
And it won't
worse,
matter if you stand up.
and it won't. Well, but what would be worse is that it will do your voice and will do everything, and your assistant will be able to attend meetings in your place as you, and no one will be able to tell the difference. And I say that knowing the technology and that it's already here. And I remember years ago working with the production center Alex McDowell, and he had just done Minority Report,
Mhm.
and all of the technology or most of the technology in Minority Report was either already in the works or had been was already functional. I mean, I went to lab where they were doing G-Speak, which is with the gauntlets and the things, and you could manipulate all the things in real time with your hands and everything. Totally worked. And that was, so many years ago. Now it's like it's commonplace, and you just look at all the things that we have now that you're like, especially as I said with AI. I think there's famously a video out that has Will Smith eating spaghetti that was done a couple years ago, and it was really, I mean, it was not less than a year ago that we're all sitting there looking at the AI and the hands, and I couldn't do hands, and it was like there was like the funky. Like the hot dog fingers, and it was like, why does that AI have 9 fingers? And we all talked about it. No one's talking about that now, because it was like, oh, that was 6 months or a year ago, and now you can't tell that the video isn't real. That was a photo that they couldn't get right. Now they're doing full video that you cannot tell isn't real. Yeah. So it's going to be unique.
It will be interesting to see how all aspects of technology deal with AI and its actual reality as we come into it. But speaking of actual reality, am I right in that I read that you're going to be at STLV this year?
I am. I think they put it. Someone called. They're like, "Oh, you're going to Vegas?" I go, "I am." They're like, "Well, it was on the website." I go, "I guess I am." So yes, we're doing a unification panel at
oh, good.
So that will be fun with all the should be with a lot of the creators of the shows, similar to what was done at the O-Toy event that they just had. So so that should be exciting.
Awesome.
Oh, it's good. As far as I know, I'm planning on going. So hopefully we'll get to stop by and meet you in person.
That would be amazing.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have one last question, and it's my standard issue question that I ask to everybody when we're done is, what Star Trek technology do you wish existed today?
Time travel. Again, I mean, not that we could take slingshot around the sun. No, I think probably, obviously transporter would be great. Food replicator would be great, save humanity thing. But I think the transporter would be exciting, just in terms of maximizing our use of time and being able to do things. But that's just kind of the cool technology. I probably the smart answer is all the medical technology, being able to, the biobeds and all the things that would solve all of humanity's ills would be wonderful. I think that would be incredibly cool.
Yes, it would be. All right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time today and to just talk with us and let us pick your brain and hear all of your stories.
Thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to hopefully seeing so many fans at Ticonderoga and then this summer at Star Trek Las Vegas.
Thank you. You have a good day. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching The Transporter Room. For just $5 per month, enjoy ad-free access to this episode and all previous ones, plus exclusive bonus content. Sign up now on Patreon.